if you can really, really meet the patient's needs and where they are, especially with screening. We've got a couple of things that we've been doing now. One of them is, and this is a great example of what I was just talking about, is this real-time AI navigation. We call it RAIN for short. Just wanted something easy to remember. So this was a tool that was designed for radiologists to not have to look at breast density originally. Basically, look at the mammogram. Oh, it's dense. It can auto input it into the report. Less work for you. One less thing to have to look at from the radiologist side.
Welcome to Playbook AI Partners Podcast, the show that turns AI from overwhelming into actionable.
Your host, Sandy Kibling, is the chief playmaker, helping business owners and teams stop chasing shiny tools and start using AI in a way that actually moves the numbers, saving time, reducing busy work, and driving growth.
Each episode features industry experts and real-world tactics, providing clear, do this next plays, simple AI workflows, and practical guardrails so you can use AI safely, execute with confidence, and get results.
Let's run the play.
Hello, everyone, and before we get into the show, just a quick 90-second update. What would you do with 5, 10, or even 15 extra hours each week? Maybe spend time growing your business, finally finishing that project, or maybe just closing the laptop before dinner for once. At Playbook AI Partners, we believe that AI should give you time back, not give you one more complicated thing to figure out. That's why we created the AI Solution Locker, a growing collection of practical, bite-sized solutions designed to help you solve real problems quickly. In 20 minutes or less, you heard right, 20 minutes or less, you can learn how to streamline those repetitive tasks, create content faster, organize information, build simple automations, and get more accomplished without becoming a technology expert. And here's a bonus. No endless or outdated courses, no confusing tech talk, just open the AI Solution Locker, choose the solution you need, and put it to work. And here's another bonus. You don't have to do it alone. And in this current wave of AI, I don't think you should. Inside the Huddle, our Playbook AI Partners community, you'll connect with other curious business owners and professionals who are learning, experimenting, and building with AI. Join live sessions, quarterly training boot camps, ask questions, access helpful resources, and get the support you need to move from AI overwhelm to confident action. So stop spending those hours trying to piece everything together on your own. Get the solution. Let's run the play together and get your time back. I would love to have you join the Huddle and get to meet you and help you on this journey. So visit Playbook AI Partners and step into the AI Solution Locker and the Huddle today. And now, on with the show.
Well, hello, everyone, and welcome to the show Beyond the Mammogram, AI Navigation in the Next Era of Women's Health. AI is no longer a futuristic idea in healthcare. It's already helping improve diagnostics, streamline administrative work, personalize treatment, and support faster decision-making. To help us get into this topic, I have Dr. Ryan Polselli on the show. Dr. Polselli is a fellowship-trained breast radiologist from Emory University, a U.S. Navy veteran, and a founder who walked away from the traditional hospital system to rebuild breast cancer screening from the ground up. He bootstrapped Mammolink, a mobile breast imaging company that's become one of the fastest growing in Florida. Dr. Polselli also blends his clinical precision with founder-level innovation by creating RAIN, real-time AI navigation, a system enabling same-day screening ultrasound for women with dense breast tissue, and is releasing a first-of-its-kind patient app in the coming months, offering instant lifetime access to imaging records with same-day results. Welcome to the show, Dr. Polselli.
Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate that. Nice intro.
Oh, well, you are doing amazing stuff. I'm so excited to hear about all this stuff. I think people are intrigued with AI today, and especially how it's being used in healthcare. People are a little bit skeptical, but some are embracing it. So I was hoping you could share with listeners certainly your story and all the great things you've done with Mammolink, but also what you're doing with AI today.
Yeah, thanks, Sandy. Yeah, you know what? And it's funny you say skeptical. I think there are a lot of people that are skeptical, kind of scared of it, fear of the unknown. So education and explaining, I think, helps and goes a long way. But yeah, so I mean, super excited. It's probably the most exciting thing for me right now is what we can do with AI to make things better. And so we're starting on that now. But I think the most important thing, and I want to make this clear from the very beginning, is that first of all, there's so much noise, there's so much AI out there, and people are still trying to get to the bottom of it in terms of, these companies, what should we adopt, what should we not adopt? But one thing that, it's a tool at the end of the day, and it's only as good as the way it's designed and the way it's used, is I don't think we have enough people that are looking at AI from the right angle. In other words, they're looking at this through the lens, a traditional lens of, how can we make operational efficiency better? How can we improve the returns on our investments and stuff kind of through the investor lens and all of that? And there's a lot of big money in it. But really, it should be a 180 degrees. Go to the patient side and look at it. How can this improve what I'm doing? How can this improve my experience? And that's kind of what we're doing and I think that's the right way to do this, because at the end of the day, that's what's going to make the whole experience better. And I think that's going to win out long term. If you can really, really meet the patient's needs and where they are, especially with screening. And so we've got a couple of things that we've been doing now. One of them is, and this is a great example of what I was just talking about, is this real-time AI navigation. We call it RAIN for short. Just wanted something easy to remember. So this was a tool that was designed for radiologists to not have to look at breast density originally. Basically, look at the mammogram. Oh, it's dense. It can auto input it into the report. Less work for you. One less thing to have to look at from the radiologist side. And that was the intended use of it. But we were trying to solve a problem with our company, which is how do we make the whole patient experience better? Why do patients have to come back? Those types of things. And so we said, well, this breast density thing could solve a lot of our problems. And so, I'm kind of long-winded here, but really we flipped it around. So what we're doing is we're using the density and the assessment, and we've made it enabled so that it comes back super quick. And this was a technological feat. It wasn't easy, especially on buses where it's cellular connectivity for the patients at the tech workstation. And then there's all of a sudden an education process that occurs right then and there after your mammogram. Here's your breast density score. Here's what it means. We also have ultrasound in the next room. And so if they do have dense breast tissue, instantly, they have all that information at their fingertips. They get a little education card telling them about the process. And if they would like ultrasound, we can perform it right then and there, which also involved another little trick because, if you're in a traditional imaging center, you have to have a script and nobody's going to bring it. They don't know if they have dense tissue ahead of time, most of the time at least. So we had to go back and do some legal restructuring and some clever things to be able to find a system where we could provide the script instantly for the patients that needed, and we did that. So we solved all these problems to basically eliminate the need to ever have to come back for dense breast tissue. And so, it really saves, hours and hours and hours and headaches. They all it comes in one report, your mammogram and your density. And we found several cancers so far that only showed up on the ultrasound. I have to say this because I think people, they can get the wrong idea if you don't. If you take the mammogram and the mammogram still wins. But in certain cases, the ultrasound can find things that are not on the mammogram. So you really want to have them both together with dense breast tissue.
I have a question. You go in, you get a mammogram, something comes back abnormal. Could be because of dense tissue. You get the call, right? You wait a few days, you get the call, and you're worried, right?
Yeah.
And then you have a biopsy. You're just in a frantic mode. That's just the truth at the end of the day. And so what I hear you saying on using the RAIN and the AI technology, you're able to streamline that in one day. Do I have that right?
Yeah, pretty much. There's still a callback process in place. It's not 100%. It does eliminate so much of that callback process, especially what's become increasingly prevalent is the number of callbacks for dense breast tissue. It's huge. It's massive because, it's becoming popular now. Nobody knows how to integrate it into their workflows. Here's an interesting thing. I think the listeners will like. One of the major reasons that traditionally people have been called back. And number one, it's hard to work it into where you can have the script and you can do it all in one step. But the other thing is there's a financial benefit. So believe it or not, like some of the private payers, but especially Medicare, they won't pay you for the diagnostic study and the screening ultrasound if you do it on the same day. So yeah, so your screening mammogram is done. And then if you call the patient back, you'll get paid for the screening mammogram. And then when they come back, you'll get paid for the diagnostic mammogram. So there's no incentive to do it the right way. There's an incentive to actually have the patient come back on 2 different days. And so, that's another one of the things that we probably need to address. But we say, you know what, I'd rather just do it all at one time, forego the extra reimbursement, and let's do what's right for the patients.
God love our traditional healthcare
Yeah. God love the payer system. Yeah.
But so when I was reading about the RAIN, so is it a patient app? What people expect, or how did they use it and you use it to better the process?
Yeah. So it's all integrated in multiple different interfaces. And we do have a patient app. It's still final stages of development. Right now, they're working on debugging some things and some last minute connections. But essentially, the concept is everything will be on the phone. So we will live on your phone, so to speak. Anytime you have any kind of breast issue, you tap the Mammolink icon, you can get into your app, which is great because you can get your results. Your records will always be there. That's another one. So many times it's like, even it's only been a couple years. And I'm guilty of this myself with my own medical exams. I'm like, God, I don't remember the doctor's name. I can't remember the exact facility. Happens all the time. Now it'll be right there. Wait, but I know it's on my phone. So we're going to solve that problem. And the real cool thing about the app is there'll be a lot of data that we're going to collect. So patients can opt in to better the field of healthcare and breast imaging, and collect data in terms of where they were screened, the frequency of the screening, and then that all gets fed into a computer. And right now, we're working on the connections to Snowflake, which is the platform in the cloud that we have chosen. It's very advanced for AI and has an AI layer on top where you can ask it a question and it can answer questions about the data. So, things like screening interval will become very important, right? So maybe we find out through all of the data that we're collecting that it's better to be screened every 10 months, or maybe it's better to just be screened every 15 months, but that it can be easily laid out in terms of eliminating some of the confusion that's out there today. And so all of that goes in there, breast density, the whole thing. And then really we're just using it to make the whole patient process more efficient, if that makes sense.
Well, it does, because even though, especially, we like to think that records are centralized, but they're not. And I like what I'm thinking, at least in my head, if I have these things on an app, then I can look at that, I can have a better conversation with my providers and be that partner that I need to be in health. And so I think that creates a win for everyone.
Yeah, and just make it easier. I mean, I think of myself a lot. I'm like, well, what would I want? I just want an icon there in the app and everything's there. I never have to worry about it all. My records are there. Anytime I need something, I can just go to it and it refreshes my memory. For some reason, that's a bizarre thing in healthcare right now. I mean, they're getting better. Some people are getting it, but it's still relatively new.
I know you're in Florida, but is this something that somebody can use nationally? I mean, how does that work?
That's
I'm intrigued.
Really good question. So that's the second phase of this, and you're correct. So I think there's an opportunity for this app to be good and applied to other breast imaging practices all over the place, and so and even I would say it could be nice if it were integrated with the Apple. They have a healthcare app in there kind of thing, which would be a long-term goal for us. But right now, it's just for us, our patients, and in Florida. I do expect, though, we're going to be moving out of Florida, so this isn't going to be our only place. Texas is next, and we have a couple spots on the radar, and hopefully it goes quickly. But that is something that we're exploring right now. How do we do this to roll it out for other breast imaging practices and facilities?
Gosh, that would be great. You mentioned a little bit about the Snowflake and that a new kind of AI innovation project you're working on. Tell us more about that.
So this one, I'm kind of proud of this. It's also new that even though there are experts, nobody's been doing this aside from maybe the people that developed ChatGPT and that. 10 years. It's all so new that really gives anybody an opportunity to kind of, if they read a little bit diligently for a few weeks, they can be an expert. And so that's what I've been doing, is just reading, to try to get an understanding of how this all works. And the first thing that became obvious to me is that, data is the fuel. All right. So they have this infrastructure, these huge data centers that are being built. We hear about this, trillions of dollars going into them. They're popping up in towns all across the United States, and these large GPUs and processors and everything. And that's phenomenal because it gives us the ability to take data and through this infrastructure really come out with, crazy amount of basically pattern recognition and language and things like that. But it depends on the data, garbage in, garbage out. So really what is super important for the next phase, I think, in these machines and machine learning, and is to have really good advanced data in data sets. And the better you can bring that in, the better the outcome is going to be. And in breast imaging, nobody's really, to my knowledge, taken the approach where they're going to combine all of this data into a single patient and a really good, robust data set, which includes attitudes, values, what motivates you, what doesn't. A lot of I call it, for lack of a better word, the contextual data that's not really the traditional scientific breast imaging world outcome data, which will really help us understand how the whole screening process can be better suited to the actual human and the way we behave and our psychology and things like that. And so all this data is we're collecting it from numerous data sources, feeding it all through pipelines into a database, and then we're going to analyze it with the AI layer in Snowflake. I think it'll change attitudes. I think that it'll change opinions. It can change potentially how we legislate things, where the money goes, policy, that kind of stuff. So,
Wow, no, that is exciting. We need to legislate for better healthcare and change because
mhm.
we've talked before, and I think the traditional
Yeah,
healthcare system is not working. So if we have some better
agreed.
data at that end, hopefully, I always like to say people might be interested in your opinion, but they're more interested in what it is you can prove to that data.
Correct.
So, but what does it mean to consumers who are frustrated with the healthcare system and thinking about, okay, is this AI really going to help me? I mean, how's it going to get those better results? Partner with my provider. How does that work?
Yeah, that's a good point. So it's not as immediate, like, patient forward facing as maybe the real time AI navigation and the density and things like that. But I do think that over the long term, over the next 5 years, that it really can start to, you say, okay, here's the hardcore data. You can't argue with it anymore. And, you give it to the policymakers and the legislators themselves. See, go ahead, query it, see what you come up with, right? There's nothing hidden here. And then for them to say, okay, I get it. So this demographic would really benefit from something that was targeted in X or Y or Z kind of way. Or the flip side of this, we've been trying to target this demographic this way with all this money, and it was pointless. So why don't we better use the money here? And to really, I guess, interface the way screening is done with the patients so much more efficiently and effectively. And then I think the end result is patients will show up for the screenings, and so you'll catch the cancers. There'll be a lot less of those. Dang it, I waited too long and now it's in my lymph nodes. And so I think ultimately it will directly impact the overall health of patients. It's just not as obvious in your face. It's more kind of in the background.
Yeah. Well, I have
Yeah.
to tell you, I'm excited about AI. And I want to go back to something that you said
Yeah.
because it's so interesting in my healthcare podcast. It's like, oh, I have 17 years of experience and I can say that. But in AI, everybody's figuring it out. Really,
Yeah.
nobody has 20 years of experience unless you're
Right.
working in the basement at Vanderbilt and the
Right.
commute. It just doesn't happen. I think the key thing is really embracing it. And I'm super excited about what it can bring to healthcare. And hopefully, you're right, the process for change can be slow, but I believe if we can have the good data and we can
Yeah.
show the power of how it is changing and enhancing and saving time and
Yeah.
all of the great things it's doing, I think
Yeah.
that we might see some changes quicker. So to that end, what do you see the future if you could look at that as a physician using AI? How is it helping you and what do you see and what would you tell consumers?
Yeah, I think overall it's going to have a tremendously positive impact, especially in healthcare. I think some of the segments of the traditional healthcare system are going to have to die, and that's going to cause a lot of pain and discomfort in the short term. But from it will emerge something that is incredibly much better and much more suited to the patients in the future. Um, and maybe I think in some ways there might be some pushback in the healthcare community and even from physicians, but we have to stay open-minded and be there to adapt and evolve and accept the change and rather than fight it. And I think too that, we need to take a leadership role, the physicians do, and to actually protect the patients and that traditional doctor-patient relationship, whatever form it's going to take in the future, be there to make sure that it really does, that's kind of the oath that we took, that it really does work for the patient. It does no harm. And as long as we do that, it's just going to be a really exciting future. Access is going to be at your fingertips to all. And it already is. People are, they're no longer Googling, they're chat GPTing or whatever you call it to find things. And it's remarkably accurate if you know how to write the right questions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love to use the phrase human in the loop because I think that's especially important. I think finance and healthcare is always those two industries that have a lot of regulatory requirements. I always think the human in the loop for listeners really is having that. We can use AI, but having that human in the loop to check to make sure that, HIPAA laws and data security is protected, but if used in the right way. And I think it's not just, people think, oh, I'll just throw my patient data in chat GPT. And I'm not trying to be insulting to anyone. There are safeguards and things that we could use around it for that. So I think that's so exciting of what is to come. So with that in mind, what are some of the future plans that you have, and where can people find? We'll link to Mammolink so people are aware of all the things that you're doing there. But if they want to say, hey, I want to follow what's going on with Snowflake Rain, what would you tell consumers?
Stay tuned to your podcast and have me back on. So we'll keep giving updates. But no, seriously, just stay on top of the news, stay up to date, and listen to everything. I think physician podcasts are a really good way to kind of see what's coming and to pay attention to it and to stay in tune with it. So.
Well, are you going to have your own podcast? I'm putting you on the spot.
Yeah. Well, no, I enjoy going on them for now, but that is a thought. Maybe in the future, if I see that, patients are like, what, I recognize there's actually some, I think people can recognize sincerity, who's looking out for them. And, if we get enough calls for it, then I would take up the call. Sure.
Yeah. Well, not to put you on the spot, but I think you're one of the more forward physicians that I've really had the opportunity to interview and really think about where you're going. And I know you're busy, and I'd rather you be busy doing the stuff that you're doing so we can all benefit, of course, and then go on the podcast and we'll have you all on that end. Yeah. But no, I was just thinking about staying on top of those things. But this has just been an enlightening conversation. And I can't thank you enough for all that you do, especially your passion for helping women get their mammograms and certainly getting those results and making it easy, but taking it to the next level with AI is certainly an exciting time. And you're right. We have to all listen to and pay attention to the news and take in the data we need to stay on top of things for sure.
No shortage of it right now.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Polselli, it's been a pleasure having you on today. And I'm so excited to share this with listeners. I know they'll greatly benefit. So thank you.
Yep. Thank you, Sandy.
I enjoyed having Dr. Polselli on the show. Such an enlightening conversation about AI and its future impact on our healthcare system. Check out the show notes for more on Mammolink and all the great things Dr. Polselli is doing to change breast cancer screenings and beyond. In our next episode, what if we could move beyond scattered AI experiments and building a structured approach that delivers real ROI? To get more into this topic, I'm bringing Patrick Bell on the show. Patrick is a doctoral AI researcher and AI transformation advisor who works directly with CEOs to help them turn AI into measurable business results. Patrick's work focuses on what's actually happening inside organizations as AI creates pressure, where visibility breaks down, where decisions stall, and why most initiatives never scale. He brings a clear executive-level perspective on how to move beyond scattered tools and pilots and get to the desired results. Make sure and join us for the show. Until next time, take action, execute, and let's run the play.